Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Take 3. Hopefully the camera is all right now. Yeah, I was just saying to you, Adam, I've got a headache from watching that. That was an absolute war between Shakan Pitters and Brad Ray. They didn't just deliver, they over-delivered.
Firstly, great to see you, Oscar. Secondly, absolutely right. I think there was a lot of anticipation before this fight, in the trade especially. A European Championship, which has been delayed, and finally 2 really good fighters, former British champion in Shakan Pitters and someone in Brad Ray who I don't think has quite achieved what he should have done so far. Came to the sport as a bit of a star in the making, and after that Tyler Denny defeat, just sort of went out of the picture a bit, but he's been rebuilding. He's won, I think he won 5 out of 6 by knockout coming into this. He felt good at light heavy. And I just had a feeling all week that he was fresh, he was happy, and it was an amazing fight. He started so well. I thought he picked up maybe 3 or 4 of those first rounds. Then Shakan Pitters came back. I thought he found his rhythm a little bit more. So many body shots traded. I mean, huge amount of volume, and the pace of the fight was, yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, it was almost phone box stuff at times, really brutal, and especially when Brad Ray's nose went, the gum shield went out. I think he fought almost a round without a gum shield. And there was, I said to Dave in commentary, there was a moment that I just thought, Brad Ray's not going to be denied tonight. Look, it was so close. Even Brad was saying afterwards, if it had gone the other way, if it had been a draw, maybe that would have been a result they could have both taken something with. But my gut feeling was that Brad Ray won that fight, and I'm so happy for him. I thought Shakan Pitters, there's no losers. Shakan Pitters was unbelievable, and I'd love to see it again. But I think that the turning point was that when Shakan Pitters had sort of taken maybe 5, 6, 7, you thought maybe then that his natural size and experience would take him down the stretch, but Brad Ray found a second wind, and I think he came back at him in the 9th round, and that was it. When he did that, I thought, wow, it's fight back on, because he was so confident at the beginning, Brad, but Pitters came back at him, and Shakan was so good in those sort of middle rounds. But yeah, I thought Brad Ray just, I mean, I think 3 or 4 of those rounds were just extraordinary. I know it was a European title fight, so you know, we can't say it was probably the fight of the year, but it was certainly up there as one of the best fights we've seen in Britain this year. I mean, it was just non-stop, wasn't it, from start to finish? 2 great fighters. They're not world champions, but they're European level, and maybe Brad can go on from this. But yeah, that European belt will mean a huge amount to him. It's heartache for Shakan, but ultimately there were smiles at the end. They bashed each other up for 12 rounds, and then they hug each other and they smile and they go off for a drink afterwards. That's boxing, and that's why we love it.
Only in the sport of boxing. There was a man who was watching with a keen eye potentially for the future, Mr. Peter Fury. I could see him, I don't want to say watching and studying, but watching perhaps with interest, standing next to Gradus Kraus, who, by the way, looked unbelievable tonight.
He did.
I can imagine that the interviews Peter's doing now, he might be going, I want to fast track Gradus for that European title, because you hear a lot when people go, this fight is special, watch out for him, and you know, sometimes you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. That guy is a problem, Gradus Kraus.
I think he is a problem because his speed, his agility, he's awkward, and he hits really hard. So look, he's got the genes, hasn't he? His dad was a kickboxing champion and is as fit as anything. He's in the corner. Peter Fury has known Gradus since he was a baby, and yeah, he's got the ring walk sorted with his daughter. Isn't that magical? And he's the dad, and also he gets in there and he's just spiteful. I mean, Ross is a decent fighter, Ross McGuigan, and he really wanted it. I know how hard he trained, and he took this opportunity, but I thought he was hurt in the first 10 seconds. I never thought he recovered. The fight could have been stopped even quicker. I don't think he really had got his feet back. And that just shows how hard Gradus punches. 7 knockouts, 7 early knockouts in his first 7. I know we can all get carried away, embryonic stages is hard.
That's the fun. The fun is getting carried away.
That is the fun, but they're already thinking of Lyndon Arthur and Dan Aziz and Craig Richards. You know, it is a fast track, and maybe they'll have looked at that and thought, yeah, I fancy Brad Ray. I mean, it would be an extraordinary story if in fight number 9 or 10 or something like that, he'd fight for a European title. I've told Izzy I want to go to Holland. I mean, I love darts, and Michael van Gerwen and Raymond van Barneveld, they've lit up you know, the arenas in orange for Matchroom Darts for so long, and it would be brilliant to have a fight night out there. So I'd love to do a GBM fight night out in the Netherlands. But Gradus is great. He's a personality. I mean, he could be a model, and I think that he's going to have a huge fan base.
He chose to get punched in the face.
I mean, he's got everything. He looks good. He's got the cutest daughter who does the ring walk with him. He's got skills. He's got power. Yeah, look, we don't know what he's like after a hard fight, but interestingly, I talked to Shakan Pitters this week, who's done a lot of sparring with Gradus, and he says he thinks he's the real deal. And when you hear it from fighters, that's always a really good sign. So yeah, Peter Fury wouldn't be wasting his time with someone he didn't think was destined for really good things. And yeah, I think Gradus was very good tonight, and I can't wait to see him again.
Yeah. GBM Amsterdam, sign me up.
Yeah.
Can we talk about you and Deontay Wilder's texting? Sorry, I don't know if that was private information, but obviously, look, he returned yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday night.
Yeah.
Got a win inside the distance.
He did.
And I didn't know you and him were
on
texting terms, Adam?
Yeah, we're pretty close. I've obviously got to know Deontay pretty well over the years, like AJ and Tyson and all the heavyweights. But Deontay commentated with me for the AJ Klitschko fight, and we've always sort of kept in touch. I spent a lot of time. I've always spent lots of time in through my years with Shelley Finkel, who's his manager, and Deontay and I, we just sort of clicked. And he's been in Sheffield quite a lot, and he loves his fish and chips. And he's a deep sea diver. I don't know if you know that. He's a scuba diver. I think he spends more time in the ocean than he does on dry land. But he's a real character, Deontay. And yeah, look, I mean, he looked like against Zhilei Zhang that maybe against Parker that he was at the end, and you wonder whether there was anything left, but. Look, he's back, and we'll all see a fight with AJ or maybe any of the others. It's such an amazing heavyweight pot at the moment, and Deontay's obviously not quite finished. So yeah, we text each other. I mean, he was very supportive through my struggles with cancer, and yeah, I'm pleased to see him back healthy and with a big win.
Yeah, if Deontay's fighting, people will always watch. That's the thing. You mentioned AJ.
I say a big win. I mean, he was expected to win, but it was a lot of pressure on him. I think he had to deliver, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't the 1-2 round blowout, but maybe a few of those rounds got him back in. And look, we want to see him in a proper test. But yeah, on a personal level, yeah, always had a good connection with him.
Yeah. Well, I said you mentioned AJ. Mr. Cole Froch has got something in for AJ at the moment.
I mean,
look, I spoke to George Groves the other day, right? And he said that he thinks, and bear in mind, him and Carl are on quite good terms. I know they've done a couple of talking kind of events together and whatnot. Yeah. He said
they've certainly warmed to each other over the years.
They have.
As
much as they could, yeah. And he said that he thinks Carl is jealous of some of AJ's success. To which Carl responded on the Stomping Ground's Instagram and said, "You're still talking shit after I rendered you unconscious in front of 80,000."
He loves that word, doesn't he? Render.
Rendered, yeah. Rendered unconscious.
In front
There's still a bit there between
80,000. Of course there is. There always will be.
Do you agree even partly with what George says, that perhaps some of AJ's success doesn't sit right with Carl? Was that
I think Carl loves to stir up controversy.
Just a troll and that's it.
Look, I've worked with him a lot at Sky. We were very close. We commentated together. He's very knowledgeable. He's very bright. And then he's gone and opened or started his own YouTube channel, and he's just there to say what he thinks and antagonise and sort of wind up. And I think he sits in his man cave in Nottingham and just thinks, what can I do next? He's bright, and he's sort of forged something for himself. He's always had his own views, flat Earth and other things. If you get him in a sort of, I don't know, anywhere for 2 or 3 hours.
He's a great podcast guest.
I mean, he's just he doesn't stop. You could call him up and go and make yourself a meal and come back. He'd still be talking. He's a great guy, Carl. He's a friend of mine. I'll always love him. He was a brilliant fighter and a fantastic commentator, and we've spent a lot of good time together. I miss him now, but I don't see as much of him. But my daughter's going to Nottingham Trent in September to start her criminology degree, so I think I'll probably see a bit more of Carl in the next few months. So yeah, I'll look forward to sort of asking him in person whether it's all for views or whether he really believes all of that. I think it's a bit of both.
I was going to say, what would be on the agenda over a dinner with you and Carl? AJ, any other stuff?
I think
his potential fight with Jake Paul or Darren Till, or do you think Carl will fight again? Well, I mean,
no.
Even if it was, I don't want to say extortionate money, but if he was put in an offer that you would go blind.
You never know with fighters. They're always itchy, even now. I remember Carl, I think he'd been retired a couple of years, and we did the Golovkin-Brook fight at the O2. When Gennady won that fight, Triple G came over and he looked at Carl And Carl got up with his microphone in his hand, and he looked at him. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like staring him down, Carl. And I was thinking, sit down and shut up. I said, you've had your nose done, you've done that, come on, it's time for being this side of the road. So I think Carl likes, again, the wind-ups. But
the Jake Paul purse packet would definitely pay for more than a new nose. That could be said. So
listen, Carl's done very well, he's invested wisely, he's very into property, he's got a lovely life, he's got a beautiful family, and he's having fun with this. I think when we took him on as a commentator at Sky, I think he thought, well, I can walk around and I can turn up whenever I want, one fight here, one fight there. But you realise soon that if you're a fighter who's retired and is not sort of in front of the screen, or people can forget quite easily. So Carl, I think, loved the fact that he continued to commentate and stay in the public eye, and I think it gave him something to do as well. I think when fighters retire, even if they made a lot of money, I think they're 35, 40, they've got a long, long way ahead, and if they haven't got a purpose to get up in the morning or some things to do or some structure like they did as a fighter, I think you can struggle. So I think it's great that Carl became a commentator. I think it's great he's got his channel now. He balances his family time with his fun, and I think that's what it is. I'd be very surprised to see him don the gloves again, but you never know with the Cobra. So I listen. Do you know what I'll do, Oscar? I'll have a dinner with him in the coming weeks, and I'll ask him a few questions, and we'll have a chat afterwards.
Can we come down on film?
I think it'll be fun. I'll ask him.
One thing I do know is from knowing YouTube revenue, from Froch on Fighting, he's doing all right.
He's doing okay.
Talking to Jake Paul.
I told you he's an intelligent man.
He is an intelligent man. Talking to Jake Paul, I know this will go out after he's fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
I expect him to
What are you
win.
expecting from tonight?
I expect he'll beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Do you think he will knock him out?
I don't know what Chavez Jr.'s got, really.
I know Eddie said that he FaceTimed him a couple of weeks ago when he was with a couple of Sugar Nunez's team, and he said he was like, everyone around him he has convinced everyone who was on that FaceTime call that this is the hardest he's trained in decades.
Well, he's sort of had a reputation for maybe not taking fights very seriously in the past, and I think it's all about what he wants out of this. Beating Jake Paul for a lot of money, elevate his life, and if it means that much to him, he's trained really, really hard. Maybe his experience and his boxing ability. I mean, he's not anything like his dad, but he has some. But I just think Jake Paul is very clever. I didn't like the Mike Tyson match. I love the event, obviously. Netflix, huge. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, but I didn't like Mike Tyson at 58 being brought out to fight. I'm glad it was a sort of exhibition and everyone got out healthy. But I think this is a good one for Jake Paul. I think he's the right sort of fight for him. Whether he then, if he beats Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., then goes straight into a world title fight or something, I mean, that's a massive jump still. So I don't know, but Jake is very intelligent, so is Logan. They know what they're doing, and I expect that Jake will get through tonight. I
know perhaps just the money overruling common sense at times, but there has been some word that he may get top 10 ranked, top 15 ranked with one or two of the governing bodies. Is that something that perhaps doesn't sit right with you, or can you understand, at least from their viewpoint, thinking?
When the YouTubers first started, and we at Sky had the opportunity to do KSI and Logan Paul, there was a mixed sort of feeling to it, do we really want to do this? Are we going down a different route? What about the hardcore trade fans? I talked to my kids and they wanted to see it. So as soon as that, I was like, okay, there is a space. It's entertaining. We had a fantastic time out in LA with the two of them. They were brilliant. They're great communicators. They're fantastic storytellers. They're very bright. And KSI and Logan Paul knew that they were sort of right for each other, right sort of level. When Jake started, I think Jake's taken it a bit more seriously, and I think that he's had real training camps and he's sparred with really serious guys, and I think he's got a career. Whether he can get to world level, I'd like to find out, but I think he needs 2 or 3 fights before that. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the fact that they've picked boxing is great, and you've got that fight tonight live on DAZN. We've got We've got Netflix coming in for the all-women's night with Katie and Amanda and most of the British female fighters on, and then you've got Netflix with Canelo and Crawford. So DAZN, the home of boxing, Netflix picking one or two up as well, widening it out. It's fantastic for the sport.
What did you make of Canelo and Crawford's dinner at Turkey's house? There's been a bit of a mixed response, because even if they aren't the two most volatile characters, I think perhaps at times we want to believe that these guys despise each other. And I know they had a war of words at the press conference in New York and Las Vegas, but how do you view watching them sit and eat?
Very different.
Chat over dinner.
Very different, right? And sort of not traditional, that fighters kept apart, going to training camps, coming together just for press conferences, firing out words to each other, even if there's great respect. We saw tonight Brad Ray and Shakan Pitters were never going to badmouth each other. They're just two honest, decent professionals. I think Canelo and Crawford both know how good they are and how much this means to the pair of them and to the world. And I think they'll go along with whatever's needed. It was a bit strange, but the fight's been made, and that's all that matters. And you know that Canelo will not want to be beaten in a September in Vegas with so many Mexican fans. We just know that. But Terence Crawford needs his moment. And is this the one? With the world watching, climbing up in weights, unbelievable fighter. And if he can bring that speed, agility, movement, and he can hold through the fight, then he's got every chance of winning it. But Canelo will not want to be denied on that night. It's a fantastic fight. It's one I can't wait for. Whatever they do in the build-up, if it gets eyeballs, it gets eyeballs. But it was different.
If you got the money to have Canelo and Crawford at dinner, why would you not do it, I guess?
We'd love to have had dinner with him. I think it's great that Canelo has learned English, and he's I love being around Canelo. He's so gracious with his time and whatever. But I think Terence Crawford's a massive name in boxing, but still yet to really take over the casual audience. This is the moment for him.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to be in Las Vegas for that one. Final one, just a little bit on Sky. I know it was a couple of weeks ago now. Just your, I guess, not your first reaction, I know it's been something you've spoken about, just for the sake of us and the channel, just your reaction to Sky and Boxer not renewing their deal.
I think Sky will stay in boxing. I say Sky, I'm now at DAZN, but I've been there for 30 years. It was a massive part of my life, 3 decades, and I absolutely loved it. And for every year, Sky were in boxing, through and through. They've been the absolute stalwart of boxing since the mid-90s, and I think that Sky will continue with boxing, with the big fights and other fights. I don't know who's going to be the promoter on it. I don't know where they're going to go, which direction. I know the guys well at Sky, and they'll make a decision, and they might take their time doing that. So I don't know, but I just know that we need Sky in boxing. It's very, very important, and I think they will stay in boxing. But it's great that we're on DAZN with GBM, with Matchroom, with Frank. I think it's fantastic that DAZN are now the home of boxing, but we need Sky still. Big football matches there, and big boxing on Sky is good for the fighters, and that's important. So who knows which way it will go, but Sky will stay in boxing.
How do you rate Boxer and Ben Shalom's time at Sky?
I think it's difficult. It was always hard to follow Eddie because it was such an amazing time between sort of 2010 and 2019. But I think Ben did some really good things, some fantastic shows. Got Khan and Brooke together, which was terrific. Got Eubank fighting down in Cardiff. There were some wonderful shows, the all-women shows. So I mean, look, lots of good stuff, but very hard as well to not have maybe the pay-per-view fights. It used to be sort of 4 a year in the UK and didn't quite have that, but maybe had the Olympic cycle at the beginning and just weren't quite ready for those big nights. But yeah, I think he's had some good times there. And
did you expect this news? Did you expect this to be the outcome?
Probably. I don't know. Like top ranking boxers signed for 4 years, and look, it's up to Sky whether they want to continue in the same fashion. And I think there's been some good shows and some okay shows, but I like Ben, and I think Ben's done as good a job as he could under very difficult circumstances. Following on from Eddie is hard because he had so many great fighters, but the likes of Ben Whittaker and Adam Azim and Caroline Dubois and have all come through. Lauren Price have all come through. So Ben's built fighters. He's had great nights on Sky, and in a way, it's a shame it's come to an end. If it has, maybe he'll have certain fights on Sky. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I really enjoyed working with Ben for the year I did it before I got ill, and I really enjoyed working with Eddie in a sort of different way. Ben was much younger. but I think he got that experience. He had to go quickly into the role. But I think, you know, he can be very proud of what he's done. And I think he's still a young guy. He's a promoter he's very smart. And I think that he's got a lot of great fighters. So let's just see what happens. We don't know. I think he's got a big announcement coming up. I think he's got a news soon. That's what I'm hearing. So let's see what happens. But I wish him all the best. I like Ben. I like working with him. Like I work with Eddie, like with Frank, like with Izzy. Fantastic promoters. Izzy's actually standing just to my right.
So you have to say good things about him.
So I will say that he has tonight promoted the best GBM show on DAZN for action, for prospects, for the return of Sean McComb, for the atmosphere in Hull. And you know what? It's been tough for Izzy and GBM with all the changes and everything this year. Absolutely nailed it tonight, and he can be a very proud man, and he's a great guy to be around.
Only saying that because he's standing there.
He is standing right by me.
And right hand's ready to go.
Jesus.
Thank you.